Hello, my name is Thane and I like to experiment with all kinds of AI technologies. But my main passion is exploring around in the visual space of Midjourney's latest versions. The topic for this video is the different styles of cartoons and how well Midjourney's version 5.2 recognizes them and how it blends them together with its own style. For my subjects for this time I chose the words tree, dog, chef and beach. And as usual, I prompted the name of the cartoon first, followed by the subject after that. And then all of the parameters like aspect ratio 916. The seed number 777, which is just a totally random number that you don't have to pay any attention to unless you want to generate the exact same image as I did. I used fast mode for these images, by the way. And for the raw style I just added -- style raw. Anyway, let's look at the cartoons then, and we will start off with American Dad. With the default style this seems to be doing some weird stuff, and the actual style of the cartoon comes through from only a few images. The raw style seems to bring out the style quite a bit more, but at least with this seed we don't get any totally recognizable characters. The dogs look very weird there. American Dragon, Jake Long. I am quite unfamiliar with this cartoon. But it seems like it barely looks like the actual cartoon, but it has picked up the dragon, the red and green colors. And the raw style doesn't really take it closer, but it does have quite a unique appearance. Arcane, League of Legends. I haven't seen this either personally, so just based on a quick image search this one looks very nice, but not particularly exactly in the style of this animation. The color scheme could be somewhat reminiscent to it, but there is so much Midjourney's own style in there. The raw style also has a bias towards the kind of overall magic look, which is probably getting some other references somewhere else as well. But don't get me wrong, it looks awesome. The dogs are so cute. Avatar, The Last Airbender. And yet another one I have heard of, but never watched myself. The main character seems to be featured on some of the images, or at least someone reminiscent of the character. Now comparing it to the reference images I found, I think this is looking a lot like Midjourney's default style, with a hint of this cartoon. The raw style on the other hand is getting a little bit closer, but I cannot say for sure as I don't have a personal reference point to this one. But as is the theme with many of these, I do like the style it brings in combination with Midjourney. Batman Beyond. For this one it seems that Midjourney is adding a lot of detail. I really like the dogs and the really strong colors. But I don't know if this is usable for anything else except for creating things that look a lot like Batman. And again, the raw style kind of goes closer to the original style of this cartoon. And the colors are still there, although the reference image I found did have some other colors represented as well. Batman, the animated series. Another Batman cartoon with different colors and a different look. This one actually seems to not have Batman in each and every image. The dogs look hilarious again. And raw style again does take it slightly closer to the actual style. Batman has a really square-shaped jaw here. And we even get some Batman toys for the trees, not so sure about those. Oh, and I absolutely love the beach photo with the black umbrellas, it's so unconventional. Ben 10. As this is a kid's cartoon, I feel like Midjourney's version of it has taken the green and made it more grown-up. Default style is not that similar to the cartoon. And even the raw style doesn't bring it closer to the original, and I guess it just knows the green, the brown hair on the boy and then just goes and does random stuff that looks animated. We even get one dog that looks more Paw Patrol to me. Craig of the Creek. Another cartoon I am not at all familiar with. And I guess the same can be said about Midjourney as well. It has generated a really distinct foresty cartoony look, but it looks nothing like the cartoon. The raw style does seem to take it a bit closer. Overall I think that it looks kind of similar with a similar color scheme. Danny Phantom. I really like this kind of neon glowy green color tone with the black and white. And the white hair seems to be a recurring theme too, but otherwise again quite unlike the cartoon's style and just more Midjourney's version of a cartoon. And raw style is yet again slightly closer to the original, but not exactly. I do still really like the color schemes and the look of what Midjourney has come up with. Family Guy. This one I have encountered in the past, so I guess it's easier for me to recognize that there's quite a lot of 3D there and only a few images look like they could be related to the cartoon itself. The trees look funny, but they are family trees, literally. And this seed actually doesn't bring us any closer to the look of the cartoon like we usually see with the raw style. I guess they are kind of just a generic cartoon style. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I do remember encountering this cartoon, but Midjourney's version looks nothing like it. But we do get some really wacky and weird stuff with this one. Same with the raw style, wacky stuff, but not necessarily anything like the original style of the cartoon itself. The dogs look so cute and hilarious, almost like totally new characters of their own right. Futurama. This one I also remember actually watching, so I can tell straight away that there are some very small similarities to the cartoon, but way more 3D look than there should be. Now the raw style looks much more like it actually. Especially the chef images that look like a red-headed fry in Zoidberg's outfit. Generator Rex. I do not know this one, but the reference image seems to be just taking on the colors and the main character's hair color. And the collared jacket seems to be a recurring theme. The raw style goes more simple with the look and it's more towards the original cartoon's look, but not as much that I would recognize the cartoon from the images that Midjourney has generated. Gravity Falls. The resulting images are not even close to the original style of the cartoon. But I like the kind of mysterious, happy and also in some images quite ominous look. I wonder what the pyramid structures in the forest are about. Raw style is not doing anything closer to the original style, but I do like the look of them. And we also get the pyramids here too, strangely. Usually the raw style tends to generate entirely different images than the default style. My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. We do get some ponies that are cute and colorful and all that. The colors are quite a bit darker though. And there is that 3D look that Midjourney has applied to these images. The raw style is closer to the original cartoon style, still some 3D in there in some places. But very colorful and actually quite recognizable. Although I don't know if any of the characters look exactly the same as they do in the cartoon, but that is not a bad thing as we haven't specified any specific characters to be depicted. Over the Garden Wall. Very distinct look that is obviously inspired by the cartoon's style, but it is very different. I do really like this style and I hadn't heard of this cartoon before making this video. And as is already becoming a theme in this video, the raw style is slightly closer to the original style of the cartoon, but it is still looking significantly different and has only a few similar elements there and possibly reminiscent colors. Regular Show. Another one I have never before heard of, and it doesn't look very similar to the original look of the cartoon. But I guess the only similarity is the really thin legs and arms that make these images look funny and weird. And I really like what this has done to the images. The raw style is really different looking from the original as well. But at least with this seed it seems to create the characters on a white background for some reason. Rick and Morty. This one I have actually heard of and I recognize the characters, but I haven't watched it myself yet. There is some similarity to the characters, green seems to be a theme here and the 3D look is coming though very strongly with the default style. And I think that the raw images have a few that come quite close. This seems to be creating some really strange Halloween costumes in the dog images. And I suppose there must be so much Rick and Morty merchandise around, so the raw images are mostly depicting that instead of the cartoon. And I have a feeling that because the names of the main characters are the name of the cartoon, that is why Midjourney must be recognizing them better compared to some other cartoons we've looked at. Samurai Jack. This one I have heard of and I recognize it, but I haven't really ever watched it. but it seems to be doing some of the look of the cartoon along with samurai swords and the red color and the jaw lines. Overall, I like this aesthetics, and Midjourney default style does add some extra stuff here. And again, the raw style is simplifying things and going closer to the original without going too close. I still like the style. The trees look especially awesome. South Park. This one I do know well, and I have watched this one before. It has a really distinct yet simple style to it, but only a few images in the chef department look somewhat close to it based on the shape of the eyes. And I am surprised that there is actually no chef in the chef images, who is quite a significant character in this cartoon. The raw style has more of the look there, but still no chef. And I am really surprised about how the beach images suddenly look so realistic. Maybe it's because South Park has eternal winter and Midjourney can't imagine how a beach would look like in South Park. But it could have been an iced-over lake. Maybe other seeds do different things. SpongeBob SquarePants. And another one I recognize due to having seen it at some point in my life. But Midjourney has done some scary things to poor SpongeBob. The 3D look does not really suit him. The raw style doesn't really improve things that much. And again, we see real-life things like Christmas trees with SpongeBob decorations and dogs in SpongeBob costumes. Static Shock. This one I don't recognize. But I like the color scheme of these images. And the lightning bolts seem to be a recurring theme. I guess the raw style looks a bit closer, but otherwise again the colors, the clothes and the haircut and color of the main character seem to be the only thing in common with the original style of the cartoon. But don't get me wrong, I really like the look that Midjourney applies with this cartoon's name. Steven Universe. Although the Midjourney's images look absolutely nothing like the original style of the cartoon, I really like what it does to the images. The trees look gorgeous there. And I think the shirt color of the main character is the main influence in the look for Midjourney. The raw style looks simpler, but again nothing similar to the original cartoon style except the pink color, which looks absolutely great in my opinion. Teen Titans Go. I didn't know anything about this cartoon before, but I really like the style that Midjourney does based on the name of it. Again, it has some more 3D look to it, some tiny similarities and mostly just the color scheme. And I seem to be repeating myself over and over again with the same thing, that raw images look kind of simpler and have less detail compared to the default style, but they still look very different from the style of the cartoon. The Amazing World of Gumball. I have heard of this one before and maybe glimpsed it, but otherwise not that familiar with it. And I don't think the 3D look again looks that similar to the cartoon. I also think that some of the beach creatures look more like Pokemon than anything from this cartoon. Raw style too has some really cute and colorful creatures, but it's nothing like what it's supposed to look like. But at least Midjourney has recognized this to be a cartoon even though it doesn't know it. The Fairly OddParents. I guess the pink and the extreme smiles and possibly the crazy-looking eyes are somewhat similar to the cartoon's style. Otherwise we get kind of a 3D Pixar look again with most of the images. The raw style takes it back to 2D mostly, but apart from the colors and the eyes, it looks nothing like the original cartoon's style. I do have a feeling that Midjourney tends to generalize a lot. And it may go on the fact that something is a cartoon and invent quite a lot generic cartoony stuff around it. The Legend of Korra. As it is in the same universe as The Last Airbender, the style looks kind of similar, yet quite different. The main character is a woman with long brown hair, so we do see that here too. And the flames and other things flowing around. The raw style is again a little bit closer to the cartoon's style, but not entirely. There still are differences. But again it looks very different overall from the default look of Midjourney, so it doesn't matter to me that it doesn't look exactly like the original style of the cartoon. The Loud House. I had not heard of this one before either. Again it looks nothing like the cartoon, except for the round faces and the overly emphasized ears and the shape of the nose. Otherwise we get the 3D treatment again. And raw style yet again simplifies the look, but doesn't bring it any closer to the original style. The dogs look very cute though, and there seems to be a recurring theme of orange. The Powerpuff Girls. This one I have heard of and I recognize the characters of the original style of the cartoon. But Midjourney default version looks nothing like it. I guess one could say that green, pink and black are recurring colors in the cartoon, but the similarities stop there. Okay, the eyes are big too, but not as big as they should be, looks more like anime. Same thing with the raw style. It is slightly towards the style of the cartoon, but it looks so much anime and not really what it was supposed to look like. Oh well. The Simpsons. And last but not least, The Simpsons. I kind of grew up watching this one, so I recognize it everywhere. And the chefs kind of have characters that are weird mashups of The Simpsons' main characters. Like the Homer with Marge's hair and half a mustache. The dog images, however, look mostly like strange 3D monstrosities. In the raw images, I guess the chef images and beach images get the closest to the look of the actual style. But dogs and trees seem to be doing the merchandise and costumes again. Hilarious though. So here were the cartoon styles for you, and I hope you got lots of inspiration for things that you may want to test out based on these. Some of them were really distinct and recognizable, but that may just be my own familiarity of these cartoons. I certainly haven't watched them all, but they do some interesting things to the images in my opinion. I am taking a break for a couple of weeks, but I will be back posting videos soon after that. Thank you for watching, and let's continue prompting.